Hello YouTube, I'm Sam Trades Forex. I'm an Aussie surfer boy at heart. I'm currently living between southern Spain and Germany. I'm a six-figure funded trader and I was able to get that funding in under 6 months using this strategy. Today I'm going to give you a brief overview of the strategy that I used to achieve this funding. What we're going to first jump into is the theory behind the strategy and how I see the markets. Then I'm going to go on EURUSD and I'm going to backtest and review last week's price action. If you're in the FTR group or my free Telegram group, don't worry if you're not, links are in the description below. You will see that week after week I'm able to accurately predict market movements and identify and take profitable trades. So make sure you stick around to the end so you can learn exactly how to do the same. Okay, so let's jump into the live charts. Okay guys, let's jump into a bit of theory before we jump into the live charts. Just setups with this strategy based on the 4-hour market bias. We've got trending in a downtrend. We've got a downtrend that's had a chock up. We've got a trend reversal where we've got a chock up and a boss. And we've got a chock failure where we chocked up and then chocked back down. All of these can be done in a bullish scenario as well. They're exactly the same, just flipped on their head. Okay, let's go through each one of them. So in a downtrend, what we have is 4-hour bosses creating lower highs and lower lows, moving down in downwards momentum. What we do here is we identify H4 points of interest or H4 order blocks, whatever you like to call them, H4 supply areas, really nice area of selling that's come into the market, usually at the extreme of moves, but they also can be in the middle of moves also. What we're looking to do here is we're looking for price to pull back into our H4 point of interest, and then on the 15-minute, we're looking to get inside on 15-minute order block to trade down to break the new 4-hour low to continue the 4-hour trend down. We also have the possibility of, if we're inside a high time frame area of interest down here and we get an M15 reversal, which is a chock up on the M15, we are potentially able to trade this pullback until we get into our higher time frame bearish scenario and we trade that down with the H4 trend. Simple enough. So here we get a little bit more complex. We had H4 moving in a downtrend, but what we've done is we created a change of character. A change of character occurs when the last high that led to a H4 boss break of structure is broken with a body close on the H4. In these scenarios, what we can do is we can look for reversals on the H4 on the M15, signified by a M15 change of character, and we can trade short out of this H4. If we get that M15 chock, we can trade that down to our new H4 POI to then anticipate a potential trend reversal to go long. Just really be cautious. A H4 chock doesn't mean a guaranteed reversal. It can be the sign of a potential reversal. And we're going to look at the two outcomes of a actual potential reversal or a chock failure. The first one we'll look at is if the reversal confirms. What we end up with a confirmed trend reversal, the H4 chock is turned into a H4 boss confirming our H4 trend reversal, and we're looking to trade out of our bullish H4 points of interest to continue the bullish trend that has now begun. A disclaimer, you can still trade reactions out of old H4 bearish points of interest, but these would be counter the H4 bullish trend now and lower probabilities, and we would look for M15 chock to trade the pullbacks here. It's a more advanced setup. Here's what's occurred when the chock fails, or there's a failure for the trend reversal. We had the bullish bearish trend, we had a chock up, where we had price rejecting an old 4-hour area and creating a chock back down to continue the downtrend. In this case, we go back to trading exactly like we would in the first instance, as the downtrend has now continued. Okay, so what we'll do now, if there's any questions about that or confusion, let me know in the comments. But what I'm going to do now is I'm going to jump across to EURUSD and we're going to go over last week's data and put this strategy to the test and show you exactly how it works on the live market. Now we're on EURUSD. I've used the replay tool to get me back to the start of the week, Frankfurt Open 8th of April 2024. So let's jump into it. I've got a rough little trade plan I want to include on the screen for you guys. So I'll read through it quickly. What we're looking for are high time frame zones, our weekly, daily, or H4 rebalance areas, and our H4 POIs. Where our trend direction is going to be based on the H4, and our OB selection is on the M15. We're looking for OBs that have created boss or chock on the M15. Ideally, there's imbalance there coming out of the order blocks, anywhere from the 5-minute up until the hourly. We've got identification of a sweep or manipulation present during the OB's formation, and ideally it's in a high time frame area or a high time frame OB order block confluence. What I like to avoid is my stop loss being near clustered lows or highs, equal lows or highs, or in low volume areas, generally low time frame imbalance. Okay, so let's jump in and I'll run my top-down analysis. What I do is I start on the weekly, I identify the imbalance areas on the weekly, the daily, and then I jump in and look at my boss and chock on the 4 hours. So there's a couple indicators I use. I use sessions indicator, I use an imbalance identification indicator, and I also use this high time frame candle indicator, because what it does is it shows the high time frame candles and you don't have to switch between time frames. I'll show you how that works when we get to the lower time frame. We're going to mark out the weekly, see if there's any imbalance level that is relevant to us right now. It's not. We just had our most recent weekly imbalance up here and a big rejection, which is what we like to see out of a weekly imbalance. So right now, maybe there's one up here. Just to give you an example of how I mark it out. We've got imbalance section here. If you don't know what imbalance is, I'm going to release a video on that soon. But essentially, it's just a gap between the wicks on the 3 candles, and I want it to be filled. As you can see here, for an example, we had the gap between this wick and that wick, so it's highlighted with this indicator. Prices come and filled that weekly imbalance, and we've had a big move out of it. Okay, so let's jump on the daily. There's nothing else here that we're really interested in. We don't really have any daily imbalance nearby. We have one here, a rebalance level, and we have price that has already taken out the 50% of the rebalance level, which is also quite a nice confluence, but I won't get into too much detail about that right now. Pretty easy. Let's go on the 4 hours and we start looking at our market structure on the H4. Now we're on the H4. This is where we want to mark out our boss and chock levels to see what our bias is on the H4 at the moment. What I can see here quite clearly, we were going in a downtrend, breaker structure, we're going into downtrend. We had our last H4 boss here. We had a H4 boss with body. And then let's have a look down here. Did we have a pullback? Yes, we had a high low and a high high formed on this candle here. So we had a boss with wick. Okay, that's what we identify. It's still a boss, and our chock line was here, and we were able to get a chock with body, which is a confirmed chock. So price since was moving in a downtrend, signified by boss with wicks. We've now had the scenario where we get a chock up with body and potential switch of trend. We then have a boss with body here. We then have a boss with wick here. Okay, we've got lower high, lower low built on that candle, and then it pushes up, create a boss with wick. Then at a single candle pullback, creating a lower high, lower low, boss with wick. Sorry, didn't label it. Then had another boss with wick, but it eventually turned into a boss with body before a pullback. So we can label that a H4 boss with body. Okay, and then we had a really big pull up. So this was currently our H4 chock line. This is our H4 boss line, and we're in an uptrend. Okay, our nearest H4 point of interest down here. Looks like we've just missed it on this retest, but we did react out the daily 50%, which is a really nice confluence there. So maybe the pullback is over, but we will have a look on the 15 in a minute. Let's just mark up. We had a H4 point of interest. So H4 point of interest, created a boss here, big lot of imbalance here, uptrend. We've also got an interesting one here, more of like a supply zone. Didn't create boss or chock, but created huge amounts of big lot of supply came into the market here. So something we'll keep an eye out, but it didn't actually create any structure break. So it's a little bit of a weak one. So what we can say is just a weak supply zone. More like, yeah. It's more like an area we look for reactions, not so much reversals, if that's what I'm saying. We don't think the market's going to reverse here, but if we're in a long, we may want to lock in some profit here. So we'll see. Otherwise, the target is H4 boss. Okay, so I think we're good there. And we jump on the M15. Okay, looks like we had a big chock here. As you can see, we had the boss coming up here. A boss with wick, and that was the low, creating a big chock with body, creating a massive M15 range. This would be our M15 chock and our M15 boss. Okay, so this is where it gets interesting. What we have is the H4 is up, the M15 is down. We've reacted by the looks out of an old news POI here. Just tapped it. We've reclaimed the daily 50%. Looks like price is reacting out of some consolidation candle here. However, the M15 is still down and we haven't quite reached the H4 POI. So what I'm kind of looking for here, because I don't really want to trade internals in this series, I am looking for price to give us a chock up to realign with the bullish 4-hour movement. So hopefully something like this, we get a chock up, pull back, and I'm able to get involved, you know, either here and ride it up to here somewhere. So it might take some time to get there. Let's start playing it through. Oh, actually, I wanted to give you an idea of the high time frame candles here. So we've got the 1 hour, the 4 hour, and the daily. It's showing here, so I have to go back and forth. It's really nice. Shows you there. It even shows some balance if it's present there as well. But I'm not really interested in trading anything right now, so we're just going to play out price and see what it does. I'm looking to break this high. Obviously we could break this high, but this looks like a really big liquidity sweep. We've reclaimed the 50% of daily imbalance, quite a good confluence. But I'm not going to trade internals in this series right now. Maybe I'll do a separate video on that, but I really like to stick to internals while you are trying to learn the strategy. Okay. Looks like this held pretty nice there. We've now pushed up, created a chock with body. So what's really perfect here is we now have the M15 is realigned with the H4. So we're now, bullish on both time frames. We can start identifying our order blocks. We have an M15 order block here. Actually, it would be good to, okay, let's see if we can have these on the screen. OB selection, create a boss or chock, create a chock. Imbalance H1, looks like we've got forming some imbalance. It's not closed, so it's not locked in. We've only got, this gap here. And a big gap on that candle on the hourly. Swept and manipulated. Unfortunately, we don't have that present right now. We did have it present on the London low, so that makes it a little bit weaker. A high time frame area. As you can see here, we've got a nice H1 order block formed, a nice H4 order block formed. So, it has that confluence here. I also look in this leg, because this is the whole leg. I really like this order block down here. As you can see, it has slightly manipulated the low before. It's got imbalance coming out of it, and it's taken a lot of liquidity from this side of the market. Okay, so that's our two. And what these would be targeting is the H4 boss. Okay, let's see if that market gives us what we want. What we have here is actually a new boss with wick. We have a lower high, lower low. This will actually be our chock line here. Do we have any balance on the M5? There is imbalance on the M5. It's kind of like a nice candle here to go long out of, but it's very weak push, so we'll leave it for now. Alright, there we go. We got price pushing up. Okay, it's almost 7 o'clock. I'll be finishing up trading. It looks like it's holding. When I first saw that candle, you know, it's sort of like this breakout candle. We got the chalk. We come back and retested the chalk line, and we pushed up with a lot of strength. So, you know, it could have been a long there, but it's okay. It's not as clean or obvious. And we had a giant amount of H1 imbalance below us. So it's fair enough to miss that one. What I'm going to do is I'm just trading between Frankfurt Open, 8 a.m. my time, which is 1 hour before London Open, until about, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock my time. So I'm going to skip through the next morning and keep this moving on. Okay, we're on to the next day. So let's have a look what we have here. This is the daily candles. Okay, so you can see we had the daily close like this. This is the candle from the day before. And so it looks like we've left a little bit of daily imbalance, so potentially what we can have is this day comes down, fills that imbalance and goes. So I'm going to note this down on my chart, pull it across here, call it a daily rebalance level. And we'll have a look if there's any confluences around this area. H4, also the H4 rebalances all the way down here. This is the H4 candles on here, right there. So I'll pull it across, H4 rebalance, and nothing really on the hourly. So that was the chalk. We end up getting a boss with wick, another boss with wick. Chalk move up to there. Have any nice order blocks? That is a really nice order block around the daily rebalance, just above. You got imbalance, break of structure, lows. That's a manipulation there, and daily rebalance is slightly below. It's not ideal. If it was right above, I'd really be interested in this. So we had another break with body. You can get pretty choppy overnight, but still mark it out. It will tell a story. A chalk with wick, which is a failed chalk. We don't class those. Boss with body, a boss with wick. So a chalk with wick is essentially just a failed chalk. Doesn't do anything. What happens here is our chalk moves to here, and we never got a break of that. And so we moved up and created a new boss, because we assume the chalk with wick is oftentimes a liquidity sweep. We want to go with strength. And that is a boss with body. Okay, so that was our chalk level. We closed here, so we have a chalk with body here. Okay, so we've got a chalk with body. Inside this H4O, it's a weak supply zone. However, it's still a supply zone. We've got some areas below that we might be targeting. Do we have a nice order block in this area? Let me mark out the boss and chalk levels. So that would be our chalk level now. And that would be our boss level. Okay, first thing I noticed, big imbalance here. Now we have a candle that manipulates some highs. Big imbalance. So I really like this order block here. It's in Asia. It's not really, we cause chalk out of a H4. Nice order block, manipulate some highs. Let's see. Okay, let's say we're aiming for here, or the daily rebalance to start with, 6.8. 3.2, yeah, enough if you left a bit. I'd take this up to 45 because it's Asia. Alright, first trade potentially, let's go. Okay, whoa. That was pretty quick. I think I skipped too fast. We got stopped out pretty quick. How much did it manipulate by? We were 1.9, so 0.4 of a pip. Yeah, nah. I usually do 0.3 to 0.5, but even with slippage, it would have been stopped out. So that was a loss. But we actually left behind a really nice order block. And this is the one I took in actually real live trading here. So now we had a nice order block has just been swept. So it's sort of a double confirmation. We've got still inside the H4 point of interest. Frankfurt as well as a Frankfurt open sweep. So we've got the German markets on our side. We've created a boss with body here. We have now got our new order block here, and we're going to trade it down to a similar level. Going to be aware of this order block. You could take a live trade out of it. It does look quite nice, but yeah, it's just got the daily rebalance below. Let's just go 845. Should be able to go on the H1. Won't relieve. H1 rebalance level. Let's see where that lines up. So almost a really nice H4 POIs, H1 POI. Let's go back to the 15 right here above it. It's pretty nice. Take out Frankfurt and Asia highs and potentially H4 chalk. Daily rebalance below, but H1 rebalance. H4's up. These are counter trend. This is pro trend. Let's leave it as is. Okay, we're in. What are we running? We're at 4R here. Okay, we got tagged into this one. I'm going to show you how I manage this live. So I have my Asia range here. I was looking for a close back above that Asia range, which we got with this candle. So I actually closed out of this trade here because it's counter trend. So I closed out for just over 2R on this one. Now this trade is in pro trend trade. I didn't take this one live because of the daily rebalance level, but it was valid with the H1 and aligned with the H4 order blocks. So we will have a look here. So I closed out with this at 2R. And this one, in hindsight, would have been quite a nice entry. So now let's just follow this down. We had a Bosworth wick on the M15. And that is our M15 shock level. So I'm going to remove some of these H1 candles again. There's too many on the screen. Okay, let's see. Maybe we get an opportunity. Price chocks. And we get in and go long. There we go. M15 shock with body. Moving quite impulsive now. Let me just check the M5. A little bit of imbalance here. Let's kind of manipulate this. Kind of two potential options here. This is kind of, let me have a look. Yeah, it's pretty mitigated by this next candle here. Okay. Oh, sorry. Should have deleted this chalk line. That's old. No tag. No real pullback. We're just pushing up, pushing up. Okay, we have a big dump here. This is still valid in my opinion. What do we have here? Push down. We have a boss's body. And a chalk down here now. I guess this big push down. Took liquidity. Pushed up with imbalance. We could refine to this lower one here. Let's see. We've now taken a H4 boss. So let's pull some stuff across. This one here has hit target for 12.5R. And where would target be on this one if it was to come in? We have to zoom out to the H4. I guess to this would be our next target. Gonna have to go after 45. 4.2. No imbalance left in here. Just all rebalanced here. So this is the only possible area. We'll see how price reacts if it's coming back so impulsive here. So we retested the high on this candle. We had another boss with wick. Got a H4 boss line here. I've got a chalk line here. Okay. Yeah, that sort of impulsion coming back down, I would not be taking this order. It looks like we've manipulated the highs, taken out the H4. We've got a now chocolate body coming in the opposite direction, back inside our H4 zone, back inside our H4 boss after failing to push higher. Very impulsive coming down. This would be much lower probability here because we didn't actually take any liquidity from, and there you go. Yeah. We have a chocolate body. We have a H4 15p OB here. Long way away. Daily rebalance level here still. Huge 4-hour rejection. Okay, so now we've got a new boss with wick. And 15 OB. Yeah, look at how this H4 candle closed. Engulfing candle after taking the high. Very bearish. It really looks like a nice order block. You can see we had a 1-hour manipulation candle. Nice 15-minute imbalance there. Target the daily rebalance. Yeah, that's the nearest thing. H4 zones, let me zoom out. We have our next target would be down here, H4. That down here. Actually, we have to move our chalk line because we had a boss with body. Our chalk line goes to the low here. Okay, let's have a look. This is a little bit of an issue. We had the daily rebalance before the tag. We've had this candle here, big push down candle. Got a nice, H4 is still up, remember. However, we have such a bearish momentum. So what I would trade, I wouldn't take this on its own long, but if we get a long opportunity out of it, of a confirmation trade, I will close my short and I will open a long. So right now going into next week, what I'm looking at, I don't know, I might cover this whole area just to be safe. Realistically, I think you could just cover this area here. But I don't think it will make much difference. And potentially we can get a bit of a more push up because we've now got quite a good, we've had the manipulation up, manipulation down, and then the push up with imbalance. You know, potentially we get a push up into one of these areas up here. We'd have to look on the H4 now. Okay, let me pull this across. It's just wiped out, pull that across. Okay, so we can put this into here, the wick where we had it, still valid. I kind of would just take this whole candle area I'm kind of interested in. And then there's this like sort of fractal area, just like a fractal POI. What I'd be watching for is there's a few major lows that we've taken out. I'll show you on the weekly going into next week. Okay, we could say this is like a major weekly low. Let me just mark that up. There was a couple sort of consolidation lows here, but this kind of looks like the nicest. We've also got, if we go on the daily, this is also a daily boss level. So daily boss, this is our weekly low here. Together with our daily boss, that could be the area that price pushes up to retest, to refill. There's probably some daily imbalance as well. Yeah, so right where the daily imbalance is going to be once we start printing the next daily candle. I'm thinking maybe we get a push up to that for then the continuation down. But let's see. Let's go on into next week, my thoughts on the market. Hey guys, thanks for sticking around to the end of part 1. I hope you enjoyed all the information that I've given you there, plus my weekly outlook. Make sure you subscribe, turn on notifications because part 2 is coming very soon. Comment down below if you enjoyed it or didn't enjoy it. Let me know what you want to see next. All your feedback helps me become better and better each week so I can bring you more relevant and value content. Thanks again for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.